Good evening, all. We will be starting in a couple of minutes. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining today's Swayam Plus Masterclass on successful interviews held in collaboration with Wadhwani Foundation. Before we begin, I would like to take a moment to introduce Swayam Plus. It is an initiative by the Ministry of Education and IIT Madras offering over 425 online courses across 15 key sectors, including engineering, emerging technologies, BFSI, social sciences, and many more. These courses are developed in collaboration with more than 70 leading industry experts and organizations and are designed to help learners stay aligned with emerging trends and build job-ready skills. If you haven't explored Swayam Plus yet, we encourage you to visit the platform and make the most of the diverse learning opportunities it offers. As part of this initiative, we are hosting a series of masterclasses where learners can hear directly from experts on current industry trends, innovations, and practical insights. These sessions are an important step in the journey from academia to industry. We would also like to inform you that today's session is being live streamed on YouTube and replay of this session will be available to watch in the future. Participants are encouraged to share questions and comments in the chat box throughout the session. These will be addressed towards the end by the facilitator team from the Wadhwani Foundation. On this note, I would like to hand it over to Wadhwani Foundation for the masterclass. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lavanya, for setting up the stage. Hello, good evening, everybody. My name is Shrang Gupta, and I'm the manager for community at Wadhwani Foundation. Wadhwani Foundation was set up almost 21 years ago by Indian origin serial entrepreneur who is based out of the US, Dr. Ramesh Wadhwani. A big thank you to Lavanya and her team for giving us this opportunity to co-present this particular presentation. Uh, Now, the aim or the goal of Wadhwani Foundation is to help youth in emerging economies to get family sustainable jobs. Now, we do that by multiple avenues. First, one of the teams called entrepreneurship team works in job creation, and the other team, which is the skilling team, from which I'm the part of, we work in filling those jobs by making the youth in the country ready to be able to perform and become eligible in those to be and be able to crack the interviews and perform better in those positions. Now, the skilling platform. Some of you are already using it, and for those who are not, I would really encourage you to sign up. And by end of the session, we'll show you how to sign up as well. We have a powerful platform which has some really cool content. These content has some flagship courses such as Job Ready and Job Rise, which will help you sharpen your skills so that you can not just get into your first job, but after you get in, you can excel and help. These courses will help you grow up the ladder as well. Now, these are not just courses, but you can interact with them. These are intuitive and interactive. So these courses are powered by AI. So we have some really powerful interview prep tools, some tools with which you can interact and get answers right away. And to top it all, we have some really wonderful human services, which I and my colleague Nitya Sriram So we present to you such weekly masterclasses by industry experts. We have mentors who can guide you, and we have a community of forum in which you can interact with each other. Now, today's session is about how you can crack the next interview and take your interviewing skills to the next level. Now, many of us, when we hear the word interview, what do we hear? The session will be very interactive, so you can interact with us via chat function for those who are on Zoom. For those who are on YouTube, yes, the chat window is open. So the most common reaction I hear is that people get nervous, worry, get sleepless nights. If you're one of those, don't worry. This session is right for you. So by end of the session, you will be able to get some practical toolkits that you can apply, and you can really ace the interview that is coming up. You will be able to become more confident in that interview that's lined up or that's going to come up. And finally, you will learn some of the tools that we'll show you today. So a really hands-on session which will be really practical and something that you would have never ever heard of. Some of the tools which are going to be really cool. So some of the things will be common, or you will say, okay, yeah, this is something which I already knew, but many things are going to be new and unique. So I would urge you to take notes, take screenshot if possible, and be very attentive, as if you are hearing us. There's a fun and another difference when you're hearing somebody live. And to present to you today, can you move on to the next slide, Purvi? The next slide. We have a wonderful professional who is coming in who has 2 decades of experience. Her name is Purvi Mitra. Purvi is the Director for Learning and Content Design at Wadhwani Center for Government Digital Transformation. Purvi has been in this role for close to 3 years. Apart from that, she has an experience of over 2 decades in the space of learning, in the space of human resources, in the space of coaching. And Purvi has coached several professionals and helped them master the art of communication. So she's worked with some of the top organizations such as before Wadhwani, Del Carnegie, HSBC, to name a few. And she'll be bringing the juice of all her learnings today. She's one of the finest presenters. She's one of the finest communicators I know personally. So with that, I would like to bring Purvi on floor and take this session ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Shram. Thank you, Swayam Plus. And welcome, everyone. That was such a warm welcome, and very excited to be a part of the Masterclass series here with Swayam Plus. And once again, thank you and welcome for this session. So without much further ado, we will move ahead, and I'll start with a story. It'll be nice to have you all share your ideas, thoughts, anything that you want to contribute through the chat option on YouTube. And of course, we will take those responses. So I'll let you in a secret, right? The secret is cows don't give milk. Well, what's the story behind this secret? There was a farmer, and he had 2 sons, and both those, sons were just about growing up in their teens. And he told the elder son, the farmer said to his elder son that when you become 18, I'll tell you a secret. And that secret will literally become your life force to excel in life. So the moment the older son's birthday came, he turned 18, he went to his father jumping and he said, now tell me the secret. What's the secret that's going to make me successful? So he just said, cows don't give milk. And he just looked at his father and he's like, what? Of course they do. So, I mean, everybody knows that. Then his father said, well, that's what we have, made the message that cows give milk. Cows don't give milk, they produce milk. But every farmer or every person who's in the dairy industry has to get up at 4 in the morning. They have to tend to the cows morning till night, have to make the effort to tie the tail, tie the legs, ensure that the process of milking the cow is clean, sit on a stool, and then spend at least 2 hours minimum to get the milk by milking the cow. we milk the cow. And it doesn't happen in a day. It doesn't happen just like that. The cow needs to be fed properly. The cow needs to be tended properly. It needs to be sheltered properly. And all of that takes a lot of effort. It takes toil, and it takes consistency and persistency. Well, that's pretty much the gist that, when it comes to interviews and succeeding interviews also is concerned. Interviews are not just something that, one would immediately, clear. Interviews require preparation, they require hard work. So here in this session, I welcome you all to step up to successful interviews in a way that is extremely personalized to each one of you. Each one of us is different, and what will work for us may not work for the other person sitting next to you. At the end of the day, when you go on to an opportunity for a job or any discussion, you are presenting yourself at the table, and what you bring at the table is going to be completely different to what somebody else does. So, like I said, I'll just reiterate what Shrang and Lavanya mentioned at the beginning of the session. We are going to explore, is there some sort of a toolkit, or is it just pure, academic yarn, knowledge? I mean, I need something that I can immediately lift, shift, apply, practice, and succeed. That's what we want to do. And that's exactly the plan. So we will discover, is there some sort of a very handy toolkit that I can use on the go that can make me a smarter professional by every interaction that I have? Are there any strategic techniques that I can keep in mind, so in order to be more intentional about performing in an interview or in an official discussion, so that I can give my best? We will also reveal certain tools that help us, like Shram mentioned, that can actually help us sharpen the axe. So are there any AI powered tools? We will look at those tools in a demonstrative fashion as well. And of course, towards the end of the session, we will open for questions. So feel free to pose your questions right from the get-go of this session in the chat. We will be monitoring the chat so that we can accumulate the pertinent questions, and we will try our best to answer. And we aim to close on time. So we will definitely wrap up by the time that we've been given. So on that note, I'll immediately start, with the most compelling question that brings all of us here. I'm sure all of us are coming from backgrounds where we either may be starting absolutely fresh from academic institutions, looking for an opportunity for a job and building a career. Some of us may be even returning to the workforce. Some of us may have taken a sabbatical, and we're looking at something completely different. So what is the mantra really? What is it that makes someone succeed in interviews and someone not succeed in interviews? Write in your thoughts in the chat if you like. It'll be interesting to see them a little later. But what is it that we are going to look at that will make me as a person excel? So I'll make it very simple for all of us, right? We will deep dive into the positive ways someone clears an interview, someone succeeds. We are not going to look at, why doesn't a person succeed? Because that is, counterproductive. We look at what works for us. My recommendation will be, in this session, we'll give you quite a few things. Pick and choose what works for you, because that's the best way to go about it. And there is no guarantee that everything may work for you. It is all through self-discovery that you will realize what works for you and what doesn't. So another key important factor is, as you pick and choose certain skills, tips, techniques from the toolkit, practice is key. Trying it is key. So make it very intentional that I will want to do this. I definitely want to try this. So if you want, make a note of it, take a screenshot like Shang mentioned. We will also discover what is it that in the toolkit exists. Is it just tips? Is it just things that people often say? But people say things only when they're successful. What about people who are struggling? So we will break this toolkit down into very specific actionables so that it's easy for us to apply them right away. We'll also look at some techniques that, if over time, if we practice, can definitely give us the desired results we want. And last but not the least, at the end of the day, the proof of the pudding is when you get the job. So reporting us back, whether it is through LinkedIn or through Swayam Plus, you've landed a job. I think that's the true test of the pudding. So, on that note, let's get started. So, one of the few things that I'm going to share in a moment are certain things that I will say are holy grails, that definitely help us become more powerful during an interview. Take a look. A lot of us have these profiles. We've made our profiles, we've made our job resumes, we've kind of understood, to apply on various platforms, to words of reference, also through consultancies. But one of the things that we often forget is that when somebody is applying for a job, right, is it just a title that I'm chasing? Is it just because of the qualifications that I have? That if I have an MBA in HR and marketing, I can only apply for marketing jobs or I can only apply for HR jobs. So are we chasing the title or are we chasing the department? So it's extremely vital that we understand the psychology of the interview. Big words. Okay, let's break this down a little bit. When we say psychology of the interview, there are three things that I would like to share here. Number one, what is the thought process with which you are looking or searching for a job? What is it that you want? Flip the story. What is it that you're looking for in an organization? Or even better, what kind of a dream organization would you want to join? Right? Let's break this down with an example as well. What is it that I'm looking for? I come from an HR L&D background. So my area of interest is development of people in their careers. So that is an area of interest. Second part was, what is it that I'm looking for in an organization? I'm looking for in an organization opportunity, growth, ability to learn. So those are the areas that will help you search the kind of right jobs. And again, the third example is, are there any dream companies that I can think of? When I started, I never thought I will join reputed companies, to name the likes of HSBC or Dale Carnegie. But I definitely did know the first two questions, that I definitely want to look at capacity building among people and professionals. And I want to, look at opportunities where I get to also learn and evolve, because otherwise we'll be redundant. And then automatically, after working gradually, I realized that I want to work with big companies, whether it is BFSI or whether it is HR. The horizon started becoming wider. So what I want to say is, the first thing is, identify what is it that you want, what kind of a role are you looking for, what are your interests where you are confident that you will succeed. Then look at what is it that they are looking for. Please make very clear conversations when you are applying a job, or when you have the first level conversation or a preliminary conversation with HR as to what is it that they are looking for. So hence understanding the psychology of the interview, so that by the time the interview happens, you are absolutely clear in terms of what is it that they want, and what I bring to the table is pretty much in alignment, and now I'm ready for the interview. The second thing that we want to share that helps people succeed in interviews is their ability to share their experiential learning in a smooth storytelling way, which aligns with the purpose of the organization. People don't get hired because of their qualifications. Otherwise, interviews would never happen. Nobody would want to meet someone if the resume says it all. So why is it that people want to meet people? Why is it that they want to see people, whether face-to-face or online? Because they are compelled with the persona, with the personality, with the energy, the enthusiasm. Hence, it's important that all the experiences that we have collected, whether in our previous roles or before joining in our academic institutions, it's important to create certain, positive example stories that you can pick and choose, like from your arsenal, and align with the organizational goals. This basically is a fantastic opportunity, because this is where they understand our language. It's like we are speaking in the organizational language. So, for example, let's say when I was with HSBC for a very long time, and afterwards, when I started, when I moved on, and I was looking for roles, I realized that I don't have to be sector agnostic. HR and L&D is something that can work in any industry or sector. But I took examples from my learnings as a learning expert from L&D team in HSBC, gave those examples, although they were from the BFSI industry, but gave those examples that could resonate with the employers that I was getting interviewed at. That's the second thing that's going to really help you succeed. The third thing is clarity. Communication is a skill, guys. Don't get scared. It doesn't matter what language you speak in. I saw this very interesting, ad, or was it some sort of a clip from a series? I don't remember, but it was a UPSC interview, and the UPSC interviewers were sitting. There were two of them, and they both were insistent on asking questions in English and demanding answers from the applicant in English. But the applicant was very, very fluent in Hindi. And he took a pause, and he was actually pinpointed by the interviewer saying that, please speak in English, your communication sucks. And then he took a pause and he said, क्या आप मुझे एक glass पानी दे सकते हो? Can you give me a glass of water? So the other guy, interviewer, said that, sure. And they gave him a glass of water, and the glass was made of glass. So he said, nahin, I want steel ke glass mein pani dijiye. So the interviewer immediately responded saying, स्टील का ग्लास हो या फिर कांच का ग्लास हो, पानी तो पानी है ना. He said, that's exactly what I'm also saying. How does it matter what language I'm speaking as long as I am competent for the role that I'm applying for? So the clear part in this point here is your enthusiasm, your absolute clarity of thought that why are you here? Why are you applying? Knowing that you're confident, knowing that you're capable, that should come in the way you speak. So displaying that sense of confidence in the way you speak showcases your clarity of thought. And don't forget to be human. It is not a test. Of course, they are graded and there is elimination, but it is not a test. It's a conversation, guys. I mean, if there are 100,000 applicants for them, don't forget there are 100,000 organizations for you. So communicating with the thought clarity is key. Another aspect is that ensures success is there is no harm in talking about your failures. Now, unfortunately or fortunately, we live in a society where the word failure is often seen with a lot of negative, back. I mean, there is a lot of negativity around it. But they're not. I mean, had we had we not failed, we wouldn't have learned. Think about a child, grasping to walk. I mean, how many times does a child fall, and how many times persistently the child holds the chair or the wall or the door and gets up every time to walk because they want to be independent. So the crux of the story is, do not take your failures and don't be afraid to talk about them. Take your failures, turn them into a learning experience, and talk about that learning experience with utmost honesty. Show that you reflected on that situation. This was where you made a mistake, and this is the learning that you got. And then talk about it in a way where you can prove to them that I did make mistakes, but there was also a turning point where I was able to overcome those mistakes. This certainly focuses on your ability to not only have a growth mindset, it also focuses on your ability to manage challenges and hurdles if you are faced with, and it definitely instills a lot of confidence in the interviewer. So don't hesitate to share your learning stories from the past. Another point that definitely will help you succeed in landing a job is anxiety. Now, it is absolutely rubbish to say that anybody who succeeds in interview is not nervous. Okay. I'm 42 years old. This is possibly my 22nd year of working, I think. And even till today, just before joining this session, I had butterflies in my stomach. And to prove that, I have a big glass of water as well. So it is a good thing to be nervous. It's an indication that you are not over-prepared. You are not, overconfident. But anxiety acts very differently in different people. A lot of people tend to perspire. A lot of people tend to have body shakes. So the key here is to adjust and stabilize yourself before the interview. Let yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally be prepared a few days in advance that you are nearing an interview, and be open to understanding what your body is trying to say. Like, for example, if there are certain things that you do feel nervous about, write them down. There is no harm having a pen and paper or a diary in front of you when you're having a conversation. There is absolutely no harm drinking water, but drinking water while speaking like this, 1 minute, this gives the wrong impression. Take a pause, tell them, may I have a drink of water? Drink that water, feel good, and then come back. So the idea is regulate your anxiety. Don't do things that's going to make you feel even more jittery. So this requires practice, and this requires knowing yourself better. So the more you know yourself, the more you know your triggers and hot buttons, the more you'll be able to manage your anxiety, right? The next thing that definitely ensures 100, not 100, 200% success is preparation. There is absolutely no alternative. There is absolutely no substitute when it comes to succeeding. You have to have a plan. You have to have, some sort of a method of preparation and practice. I mean, it's only practice that makes things permanent, guys. Just remember this. Practice makes it permanent. So even if you have to have mock sessions, sit with your peers, sit with your older colleagues, or people who've been your mentors or bosses from previous organizations, if you were working or you were interning, or even your professors or teachers, ask for some time, sit with them, have a conversation, ask them to help you, give you critique, so that the more you know about yourself, the better you'll be able to perform on the D-Day. The last two things that definitely ensure success is be yourself. I come from training, and in my job in the past, we also were involved in developing other trainers. And I often used to say that when you're standing over there, whether it is a speech, an interview, a meeting, don't impress people. One doesn't need to make an effort to impress. Just express. So turn it around. You have to just be able to express. And the only way you'll be able to express naturally is if you are comfortable, is if you think it's a conversation, is if you think you are prepared, and is if you think that you've regulated your anxiety. So being able to strike a chord with the audience or with the interviewer is extremely important. And that can only happen when you are yourself. Don't be somebody else and go. Be yourself. If you think, people have told you to pretend to be somebody else by wearing XYZ, don't do that. Do what you are known for, what your original form is, because that's what people appreciate. And when they see that sense of human connection being formed, that's when they get the confidence, almost 80%, that this person definitely seems fit. Remember, people don't get hired because of their skill set and because of their experience, or even sometimes because of the reference. Let me tell you, they get hired because of their enthusiasm, their energy, their openness and excitement to wanting to be a part of the organization, added with skills and experience, etc. Last but not the least, what is it that is extremely important? Some things I would also personally agree to, that we often don't do this. Just because we've had a interview, we don't know what the verdict is. Or let's say in a situation, unfortunately, we've not cleared the interview, we just move on. We leave it like excess baggage and move on. And we carry that excess baggage without knowing it. The key is reflect. When I say reflect, go back, think in terms of how it happened. What was it? What were the high points? What were the low points? If you didn't like something on your own, make a note of it so that you remember intentionally of not doing that again. And if you didn't like something from their side, make a note of it so that you know how to be prepared if somebody gives you a hard ball in that sense. Reflection is key. Going back and thinking about what happened is key. Seeking clarification and feedback from the employer is key. So don't hesitate to get in touch with them, to finding out what happened. May I know the reason as to why I wasn't selected? It's your right, right? So while we have these few points here, and we will obviously make this deck available for you as a part of the toolkit, let's deep dive. But if I have to do all this to succeed, what should I have in my arsenal? What kind of tools should I have? Before we move on to the tools, I want to share some very interesting tips and I'd say famous words from very famous credible people. I know you can see all these people. Some of you may know all these people. Some of you may know a few of these people, but they all kind of give us the same message of what we've just seen here, right? One of them, although he's no more, unfortunately, but a true gem, a scientist, a poet, an honorable president of our country, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, always did mention and emphasized most on preparation. And his mantra was, if you're prepared, you've won more than half the battle. And don't forget humility. Being humble is extremely important. Being genuine as to who you are is extremely important. Indira Nooyi, who's very famous to be known as a powerhouse of a former CEO for PepsiCo, she focuses and she also propagates a lot of authentic behavior. Be who you are. Don't be somebody that you're not. And the world has almost 7 billion plus population, but there is nobody like you. Remember that. Isn't that unique? So be authentic, and the confidence that you see out of authenticity is unmatchable. Late Ratan Tata, he focused on there will be challenges, there will be hurdles, there will be hardballs that will be thrown at us, sometimes just to test us, sometimes intentionally. The idea is to have that sense of calm under pressure, grace under fire. That's a very good movie also. I would recommend you to see it as well. It's literally Grace Under Fire personified in that movie. How do we regulate our hot buttons, trigger points, and anxiety levels in such a way that we don't give away to the person in front of us, and at the same time, we look collected and mature and responsible? This does take time. It will take time. It will come with practice. So my recommendation is the more interviews we give, the better we are becoming. Don't forget that. And then in the row below, we have three very interesting people. We have Dr. Amy Cuddy from Harvard University. She is an expert on body language, and she recommends your body language may shape who you are. That's also the title of her book. Do check it out. It's amazing and it's eye-opening. Simon Sinek, he's very, very renowned to be a speaker, does a lot of communication-focused speakerships. He's a TED speaker. He says, whenever you are talking about your experience, the kind of value you bring, basis the skills that you have, start with the why. It's always the why. Everybody wants to know, why did you work here? Why do you think you succeeded here? What makes you think you are so apt for this job? Start with the why. Why, what, how. That's what he says. And then last but not the least, Adam Grant, who's from Wharton and also from UPenn, he focuses on something very unique that I've discovered, is that your ability to ask things is actually a very good sign. That shows that you are willing to learn. That shows you have a growth mindset. So curiosity is very good. Don't be afraid to asking questions. And more importantly, don't also be afraid for a teaching moment, because we also are shaping ourselves as an expert every day. Hence, we earn the right to share what we are good at. So don't hesitate to share something that you are an expert for, right? But it goes hand in hand. It can't be just one without the other, right? So let's take a look at the toolkit without further ado. It's very basic, right? And I'm not going to spend so much time, but I'm just giving you a little bit of food for thought. What should your toolkit have? My personal recommendation will be, this is a toolkit that I think all of us may have, but what are the ingredients in the toolkit will vary person to person. Start with the 5 wives and a husband. 5 wives and a husband is just another way of saying identify the what, who, why, where, when, and how. Right? So when we say 5 wives and a husband, whether you're looking for a job, you're getting a preliminary call from HR, you've got an opportunity through a reference, find out what is it that you want to do. Something I shared earlier. Why do you want to do it? Why is it important for you to get a job in a certain sector? Where do you want to work? Is it a sector? Is it a geography? Is it a industry? So write these things down. The more you write them down, that is more you internalize and clarify your thought process. And when do you see happening? We hear this question so much, and it's such a, I'd say broken record question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? It's such a blah question, but it's really, it's got a lot of depth. Let me tell you that. It helps us, or rather, it forces us to think, oh my God, where do I see myself 5 years or 10 years from now? I don't know. I'm just focused on the now. I want to get a job now. But it's not a bad idea to pen down. It may be wrong. That's fine. But it will definitely clarify your goal as a human being and as a professional. And more importantly, how do you want to go about it? What all do you want to do? How do you want to research? Who do you want to get in touch with? Are there any people you want to connect with? So the second part in the toolkit, please have a set of people, a network of people who are your friends, your mentors, your teachers, your professors, your relatives that you look up to, any influencers that you have, any ex-colleagues or bosses that you have. Get in touch with them. Ask them to mentor you. Ask them to coach you. Conduct mock interviews. The more advice you seek, the more you'll be able to pick. Now, let me also share a very quick point here. People, when you ask people for advice, people are very, I'd say, open. They will give you advice as if it's a farmer scattering, seeds in the farm. So you don't have to take everything. You can take everything and pick and choose what you want, right? And if you think that some advice is absolutely ridiculous, it's okay. People, when asked for advice, can say anything and everything, right? But don't take everything to heart. Why do you need advice and mentoring and feedback? Because it helps you get perspective. That is the key, guys. So once you've started getting all this, you are gradually beginning to start your homework. Now, this is the crux of this is the backbone of the toolkit. After taking all this information, you have to do something about this information, right? So here is where you want to get started. Here is where you want to burn the night oil. Remember milking the cow? You have to milk it. Cows don't give milk. We have to milk the cow. So this is that part. So research, ask people, get in touch with the Swayam platform, enroll, take the courses that are available, because there are so many different ways that the information is coming to you, whether through online courses, through the AI-powered toolkits, through mentors who are available, through career guides who are available. You just have to reach, and the heaven is for your grabbing. So research, put in your hard work, seek, call, ask, be a part of forums. You coming to this particular masterclass itself is what first step of the homework. And once you've started getting all that, then start building your resume. And as you build your resume, have a notebook or some place where you are writing down compelling stories that highlight your skills. For example, let's say I've written in my resume that I have a very specialized expert, way of coaching and helping people develop for their next level in an organization. So how? To answer that question, I need an example. So I need to go back into my experience and figure out and think of situations where I did something that indicate that I have that ability and competence. Hence, when I say create stories, I mean exactly stories under 100 words. What are you capturing? What was the challenge? What was the solution that you brought? And what is the impact? So a very straightforward structure: challenge, problem, solution. Challenge, solution, impact. These are the three things that you want to keep in mind, 30 words each. and have that arsenal ready, because that's where you will pick out everything and share. And because they're your stories, you don't have to prepare. It will come to you spontaneously, but you will have to write down so that there is absolute clarity in the way you're saying something. Satyam, if you have a question, thanks for raising your hand. Do share the question in the chat. Then we, of course, have the most important aspect that I mentioned. Interviews are not cross-examination, guys. These are not tests. It's a conversation. If there is equal footing for your employer, there is equal footing for you. You will decide which organization to join. Right? So it's a one-on-one turf. Remember that. That will help you be more confident with a better self-belief as well. A couple of other tips that I will just quickly run upon, and these are body language. There is a cheat sheet we've provided for you guys for the points from 6 to 10. So body language is extremely important. From the very moment you say hello on the phone to the very moment you walk into the organization reception panel and to the interview room, to the point where you have left the organization after your interview, all of those things matter. Everyone's watching. So you want to project yourself as someone who is prepared, calm, resolute, confident, and happy about this opportunity. So working on your body language is extremely key. More importantly, answer the question that the interviewer has asked. And if there is a lack of clarity, please ask a follow-up question. There is absolutely no harm if you say, I'm sorry, I didn't quite follow your question. Can you elaborate? Because when you ask for more clarity, it gives the interviewer, that understanding that I need to give in a little more detail for the person to answer. That is appreciated. And of course, the points are being genuine. I've spoken about following up after the interview. I've spoken about, and prepare yourself as per the format or the modality of the interview. If it is an online interview, what is it that you need to keep in mind? If it is something which is face-to-face, what is it that you need to keep in mind? If it is a panel interview, don't be hesitant in asking questions about the details of the modality of the interview, right? Last but not the least, I'll just take 2 minutes before I hand it over to Shrang. I've just created a basic 4-grid, strategic technique, right? Because now that we know that this is what I need to have in my toolkit, how do I go about it? I've broken it down further. You can break your toolkit down and prepare your toolkit as per preparedness, how to skill set map against the job, what kind of deportment do I need to have as a professional, and what kind of auditory skills should I have, right? So let's break this down very quickly. When we say preparedness, I'm not going to go through each of these, but they're pretty, I'd say they're very comprehensible if you read it. When it comes to preparedness, everything, it is research, it is conversation, your preliminary conversations, your FAQs, the kind of thought process you have in terms of, should I apply for this, should I apply for that, or if I'm applying across the board, what is it that I'm expected to deliver in a so-and-so company or an ABC company? All of that is a preparation. Your resume is a preparation. You need not have the same resume for every job. You can change the style and alignment of your resume depending on the job. That is something that people don't know. People often don't do that. I have different resumes for different types of skills. At least I did. I mean, past 4 years over here, I don't. But I have a different resume for my qualification related to CELTA and TEFL. I have a different resume when it comes to OD. Organizational development and HR resource development. So the idea is, don't be afraid to, mold your resume as per the role. One thing that we often don't do, that is skill set mapping. If you are getting an opportunity, please download the job description document. If you don't have access to the document, and if you have an access to getting in touch with the HR, please ask for the job role description. Because if you don't have the JD in hand, how will you know how many of these things do I already have? You know what I'm saying? So asking for a job description is extremely vital. And even if you have to stand your ground, please do, because that indicates that you want to be thoroughly prepared when you're going there. Ask for details about the role. And, don't just go by titles. That's what I meant in the beginning. So mapping the job role with what you have done is known as skill set mapping. That's exactly what even the HR recruitment team does. Deportment basically covers a lot of things. It covers body language, your appearance, your grooming, your ability to strike a chord and create a human connection, how warm you come across, how genuine you are. Do you have presence of mind? Sadhguru says that it's very important to be present all the time. What that means is be fully present to where you are. For example, I'm right now in a session. I don't care what my phone is buzzing. I'm not, I'm lucky to say that, but I don't have to worry if there is somebody at the door. I don't have to worry if there is something required in my workspace because I've already informed them. I am 100, 200% attentive and present to this session. That is key, guys. And for those of us who do have a, attention deficit in some format or the other, this is something that you have to practice. Be fully committed. And please don't multitask. Multitasking is not a skill. It's not a skill. It's detrimental. So when you are fully present, you are so attentive that the cricket ball that is being thrown at the pitch and you're the batsman, that cricket ball appears like a football. You're so clear. Can you imagine the clarity and confidence with which you'll answer? And then, of course, your responses being concise, brief, calm, not being over the top, demonstrating authenticity, integrity, and a gracious closure. Don't hesitate to thank them. Please show your gratitude. Thank you for giving us this opportunity. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, for this interview. So, show that gratitude. And last but not the least is oratory skills. We often don't pay attention. We don't have to be all, political leaders giving fantastic speeches. We don't have to be a motivational speaker. We have to have clarity of thought. Write down your talking points. One of the things that as a, occupational hazard I do as a trainer is that I often do write my talking points. So whether it is what I want to say, how I want to write it, structure your points, use cue cards if you have to, have a deck if you have to, or a demo like we will show you shortly. And like I said, just express. So on that note, I won't take too much time. I know we are kind of racing against time. I'll hand it over to Shrang to actually give a little more perspective in terms of the tools that we have in store for you. These are the cheat sheets that I was talking about. So we will give this to you so that you can actually take a look. I'll just quickly share. There is a cheat sheet dedicated to follow before your interview. There is a cheat sheet for the day of the interview, but you've not started the interview. And then there is a cheat sheet for the actual day when you are at the interview, right? So give it a read, internalize and personalize. And I'm sure with practice, you'll definitely not just make it, you'll definitely land yourself a fantastic job and feel great about it. So before we come to the questions, I'll give it to Shrang. Over to you, Shrang.
What a breathtaking presentation, and there were so many takeaways, and I'm sure our learners have benefited. Now, Purvi, what I want to show and take the concept ahead, which you shared, which is about practice, is show our learners a very cool tool which is available for free. It has unlimited access. It's called the Interview Prep. It's available on the Wadhwani Foundation Skilling platform. And for those who are coming for the first time, let me show you how you can sign up for a course via Swayam Plus by simply searching and going under partners. And here we
Shrang,
have.
sorry. Shrang, sorry, I'm interrupting. You can mute the YouTube link.
Okay. Okay, is it better now?
Yes, Shravan.
Okay, perfect. So we can see the list of courses. Well, apparently, Wadhwani Foundation is one of the only few partners whose courses are available, credit courses are available for free, which is a very rare chance to get credit and also get these courses for free. So the flagship program is the Job Ready program. There are some other short courses as well that you can choose to enroll in, and you can click here and start learning. You'll be prompted to sign up with your Google or Microsoft account, and you can follow some intuitive steps to reach a page where I'll show you now. Now, here you log in with your credentials and land to the ocean of unlimited learning opportunities. So you not just have your course, but we have different tools, we have the community, and access to so many powerful things. So let me click you and let me directly deep dive into the placement prep tool, which is called the interview coach. Now, this gives you first, based on the job that you are trying to apply for, the commonly asked questions. It'll help you practice and it'll give you instant feedback. And the attempts are unlimited. So there's no limitation that you can only practice 1 or 2 times. You can practice as many times you like. So let me start over again by showing you. So let's say that I can actually look for the role that comes to mind is that I'm aspiring to apply for a digital marketing role. And you can look for positions which are entry level roles to even leadership roles. Digital marketing specialist. And I have to put in which role it is and also followed by the industry. So I'll say FMGC, CG, and hit search. It'll take a moment and give me the description. So that's what this role is about. So yes, I can start practicing. Okay, let me just turn again because I just searched for this role. So I'll just search again. Okay, here the magic begins. So you'll see the 10 questions that it has generated that could be possibly asked in the interview, from easy questions, which is the beginning ones, to medium to the difficult ones. The difficult ones could be that how would you handle a situation where a digital marketing campaign is not performing well? And easy ones could be beginning from introduction. So let's just go ahead and see how it actually works. And to show this demo, I'll turn off the camera of my broadcast for a moment. So first, I can either read the question or
Can you please introduce yourself? Include name, hometown, educational background.
Hello, hi, my name is Shran Gupta. My hometown is New Delhi, India, and I have done an MBA in marketing from Texas Christian University. I am looking forward to pursue my career in the field of digital marketing and working as a digital marketing professional in FMGC industry. Let's finish. I can review my answer. I'll just save and submit now. And see how quickly it does all the action. So based on my response, it gave me a score of 4 out of 5. It shows me that what went well and also what needs to be improved. So I could improve by including requested information directly, okay, and not providing extra information, which I did, which wasn't really correct. So it could say that I could start with greeting, which is hi, which I missed, and use more formal expressions. So some of the things which work well are great. So I think that I provided directly in terms of my hometown, all this was included. So yeah, so I got a score of 4 out of 5. So I can retry this or move to the next question. Isn't this really cool? So I heard one of the questions which was that how can we really practice? This is your go-to place to practice your interview for any role that's coming up your way. So Purvi, thank you for letting me share about this really cool tool available for absolutely no cost to all our learners. And if there's time and if you may allow, could we take some of the questions? Yeah, Purvi, can we take some of the questions now from the
Sure,
audience?
sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. So the first question that I want to pick up is something very unique, and the question is by Jaita Roy. Jaita, thank you for the question. And they're asking that can you give some thoughts on handling negotiation, disagreement, and the second part is also handle the question about gap in academic year or why there's a career change. So
Hmm.
first part is negotiation or disagreement, and second is addressing the gap or career change.
Sure, sure. So I'll answer this briefly in two parts. One is the negotiation, and the other is how to respond to a gap in the career. Um, okay, so the first part is depending on the kind of role you're applying, and this is purely my perspective of having interviewed and having been interviewed as an interviewee. Negotiations, we need to figure out in the kind of job roles that we are applying, what are the areas where negotiations can happen. For example, is it something to do with ability to do more work than what we have that we're applying for, because the skill set is so good, because our profile and competency is so mature, that the interviewer maybe is interested in finding out if we can do more than what we've applied for, is an example. The other example could be anything to do with, let's say, work-life balance, or anything to do with the, work culture, whether it is a hybrid or whether it is work from home. This is another example. So what I'm saying is identify before your interview in the come in the upcoming interview, what are the opportunities where the interviewer may ask you a negotiating question, right? Often negotiations are not with an interviewer, it is often with HR. And why is the negotiation with HR? For the pay scale, most importantly, right? For the release, for the availability to join if we've been offered the job. So we need to be adequately prepared to identify what are the points in my interview where I can anticipate a question where I will need to negotiate. And when it comes to negotiation, the math or the science behind it is very simple. We don't ever reveal all our cards, and we don't get to see the opponent's cards. So the idea is, give and take, where both parties reach a certain point where both parties are agreeable with the relationship that they want to build. So don't hesitate or be too excitable to jump to a negotiation, or be very personal that, oh my god, now I'm getting cornered. And please don't yield into a negotiation. If you think you need time, please be open to say, can we revisit this question towards the end, because I will need a little more time to think. Or if it allows you to come back to them post the interview, do that. Please take all the time you need, because it's a matter of your choice and your life and your career. So that's answering the first part. The second part of the question is, a lot of us will have certain gaps and sabbaticals and various reasons because of which we have career breaks, pandemic being one of the biggest ones for all of us. My mantra is, please don't fib. Never, never, never lie, because every reputed organization today are spending time, a lot of budget in verification process. They want to ensure that every detail of a certain person that they are hiring as an employee is verified, it's legitimate, and they're also using technologies, emerging technologies like AI and blockchain to do that. So my first advice to you will be very genuine as to why that gap year has happened, right? Whether it is a gap year in, let's say, you making a choice in terms of what kind of next education acquiring or a degree that you want to acquire. You took a gap year to identify what course you want to enroll in. Or let's say there was a gap year because you were just not able to find yourself a job and you wanted to specifically find a job in a certain location or a certain sector. Be very open about it and say the struggle that you have had. For example, in my situation, I can give you a very recent one. During the pandemic, in the month of April, I quit my job. Because it was time. I had already spent 7 years there, and the pandemic was a very natural way of closing things, and I was open to figuring out what's happening, but the whole world was at a standstill. There was no way that I would have landed myself a job, but I kept getting gigs. But for a period of 1 year, from April 2020 to August of 2021, I did not have a job, but I did get gigs. So when I was asked this question, first of all, after the pandemic, nobody asked this question, but they did say, "Were you, involved? Were you busy doing something?" So I did say that I was desperate looking for a job. I also looked for opportunities to go the entrepreneurial way, but it's something that is not, something close to my heart. But I was very clear about finding a job. So the point here being, be authentic, honest in terms of what was the reason for your gap job. And the more confidently and honestly and humbly you answer, it will be appreciated. I hope I've answered that question.
Awesome. Yeah, very well. The next question I have is Satyam is preparing for or wants to prepare for retail sector job and he's a beginner. He needs advice as to how he can prepare.
Excellent. So first and foremost, Satyam, all the best for your preparation towards retail. Retail is the hottest sector at this point, one of the hottest sector. Let's face it, we don't even have to get up today to go anywhere to buy something. It's all available on various e-commerce and various mobile application platforms. So a couple of things that I will suggest, although I'm not an expert, so right from a consumer's perspective maybe, is that when we say retail, what is it that interests you in retail? Because retail is a sector. Under retail, what kind of department do you foresee yourself being interested in? Before you make the judgment call, first research in terms of what are the various retail industry and sectors include. What are the various companies that are the big names and the MSMEs. And so my recommendation will be go to various platforms, Swayam Plus being one of them, Wadhwani Foundation being one of them, because we do have a very fair share of courses that focus on retail sector as well. Also go to various other platforms like NSDC. Find out over there in terms of what are various organizations that exist, what kind of departments do they have, what kind of roles do they have at an entry level. You can also narrow your search down in various places like LinkedIn. You can also search them on the very popular websites like Naukri, and there are multiple reading blogs that you will find online as well. My recommendation also is don't hesitate to take help from finding certain legitimate sources from AI tools like Perplexity or Gemini or ChatGPT, because when you give the right prompt, they will definitely direct you to the right websites as well. Reading more about it and also dropping in some queries on the website will give you more perspective. And once you've figured out what kind of departments or what your area of interest is, once it's narrowed, then look for those jobs with that filter in various platforms that you're looking for, or take up courses that will help you become ready for those entry-level retail industry jobs. I hope that gives you some food for thought.
Awesome.
All the
Totally.
best.
I know we are over time already, but I'm tempted to take this last one by Panchali as to how does one address a question to which one doesn't know the answer of.
My immediate response is, how will we answer a question if we don't know the answer? I mean, there is no harm in saying that you're not aware. If there is something, see, the thing is, it's a two-edged sword though. If there is something that is totally out of your context, right? When I say out of your context, let's say it is totally out of the purview of a student out of college looking for a job. And let's say the question is more steered towards somebody who is already worked 10 years plus in experience. that question will be relevant for someone with 10 years of experience, not for someone who is a fresher like me. Then it is absolutely fair to say, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to answer that question now because I don't have that experience at this point. But what I would like to think is, and then you give your answer in terms of what your thought process tells you, right? Like, for example, for a person who is at an entry level job for an individual contributing role, and if the question is like, let's say tomorrow you have a team of 10 people, and of those 10 people, you are in your 20s, but those people are in their 30s and 40s. How will you manage them so that they do all the work? Now, we don't know the answer to that question because I'm not there yet. So it's absolutely fine to say that I don't know the answer now, but I would imagine that this will be some of the things that I will use as techniques to do. But of course, I do need to be coached, and I need that experience to be a people manager first. At the same time, if there is a question that is a part of your preparation, that is something that you're expected to know as a part of your skill set or education or expertise, and if you're not able to answer, then I would say, just say openly that I'm sorry, but I'm not able to recollect at this point. Can we circle back to this question? Make a note of it to see if you recollect. And if you don't, say, but I'm not at this, please apologize. Okay, Raj, you check, and then they will take the soul away. So they're also human beings, so they do understand anxiety as well. But I would recommend that you're prepared, is what I'm saying.
Perfect. Thank you, Purvi. It was very insightful. We're almost at the end of our entire session, and on that note, a big thank you to Swayam Plus and especially Lavanya for really orchestrating this entire session so nicely. Lavanya, over to you to wrap this up and close.
Thank you so much, Wadhwani team, for delivering such a session. Step up to successful. The session provided us with actionable insights in interview preparation, self-presentation, and communication techniques that will help our learners approach interviews with greater clarity and confidence. I would also like to thank all our participants for joining us today. Sessions like these are an opportunity to bridge learning with employability and to prepare more effectively for career opportunities that we have ahead. We look forward to seeing you all in our upcoming masterclasses by Swayam Plus. Thank you all and have a great day ahead. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Shan, maybe we can do one thing. We can give the deck to Lavanya so that she can perhaps have it available on the chat.